Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to the Geek Suite. I'm your host, the one and only Kidner Bean, and we're back for another Vlogmas 2019 video. Woo! Alrighty, my lovelies. Today's video is going to be story time, where I recount the story of trying to make a holiday or Thanksgiving dinner for my host family while I was living abroad in Spain. And I'm aware that Vlogmas is supposed to be Christmas themed, but you know, they don't have Thanksgiving out there, so happy holidays. We're talking about it. Okay, so as I may have mentioned before, I lived in Barcelona for a year. And during the time that I was living there, I was staying with a host family, and they were very excited to have an American staying with them, and they wanted to have a traditional American Thanksgiving. Now, I hadn't really been celebrating Thanksgiving the last several years with my family, as we've all been traveling and hadn't really been in the same place. So it had been a few years since I'd actually made anything, and I was trying to think of something that I could make with this family, because making an entire Thanksgiving dinner, for those who celebrate and are aware, it's a whole ordeal, and it takes all day to make because you have the turkey, and then there's usually, the way it's traditionally done, for those who are not aware, is whoever's hosting the event makes the turkey and maybe one or two other side dishes that they're known for. So it could be things like macaroni and cheese or mashed potatoes or whatever. And then every other person who's coming typically brings a dish with them. So there's the turkey, and then there's about 6 or 7 side dishes, and it's a whole like classic almost medieval feast with the amount of food there is. And we were going to be staying at their beach house because they were extremely wealthy, and there wasn't enough space at the beach house to make this, and it wasn't really realistic to do a whole thing. So they agreed that they would buy all of the food, and I would make a turkey, and I told them I was going to do 2 side dishes, and then that was going to be all that we were going to eat, because realistically it wasn't going to pan out, and so they agreed, and cut to the shopping time. Now, an important part of this story is that they were not really interested in hearing the history of Thanksgiving. They just wanted to do the dinner, and they didn't ask me what I was going to be making. They knew there was the turkey and that I would be making sides, but they wanted everything to kind of be a surprise. So the grandma was making her own little, wild rice risotto, which was delicious, and they made some fish just in case, the kids that were coming didn't like the Thanksgiving. But they took me to the local grocery store, and I just kind of loaded up the cart, and they didn't ask any questions until we got back to the beach house. Now, for this Thanksgiving, we didn't find a whole turkey because nobody outside of the United States, and I guess Canada, if they do turkeys for Canadian Thanksgiving. Any of my Canadian viewers who know if you guys do the same Thanksgiving style dinner that we do here in the United States, if it's the same over there, please let me know in the comment section down below. So for this Thanksgiving dinner, I had decided that I was going to make a turkey, but it really ended up just being the largest chicken I've ever seen in my life. Like, this was like an 8 or 9 pound chicken. And then I bought 2 sweet potatoes or yams to do candied yams or candied sweet potatoes, because I didn't think that the host family would be too interested in eating it, because in Europe they don't really do a lot of really sweet desserts like they do in the United States. But it was something that was always fun for me to make, and they had a daughter who was about 4 years old, and so I thought that that would be something fun for her to help me with, because she wanted to help, and I'm like, that's a side that kids like to help with, because you get to do the marshmallows and the sugar and whatever. And then I was also going to be making a green bean casserole, because that is my favorite side dish, and it's something that my family had every year, so I figured I'd make the Thanksgiving turkey, the side dish that I actually like, and I assumed they would like it too, because it's just generally delicious. And then the candied yams, which they would probably eat as a dessert if they ate it at all. I made a very small amount, so that way the kid could have the fun experience of getting to make them, and then that was it. So they were being very gracious, and they said, no, you're going to be doing all the cooking, get out of the kitchen, let us put everything away the night before. And I can hear them talking to themselves as they're unloading all of this stuff. And they all speak Catalan, which is a language that is a member of the Romance family of languages, so it's similar to Spanish, but it's closer to Portuguese, and that it's sort of this hybrid of almost Spanish and French, and then it has its own unique words. So I could kind of hear the gist what they were saying, but I couldn't understand them through the door and through the language barrier, because at the time I hadn't really picked up Catalan yet. I only knew a mediocre amount of Spanish, having been a little rusty since living in the States for so long. So eventually the dad comes out and he asks me the following questions. So he comes out and he says, "Okay, Brooke, we have to ask, what are the marshmallows for?" And at this point I started laughing. I said, yes, those are for the orange potatoes. And so, keeping in mind for making these dishes, what we had bought was the chicken, 2 yams, a bag of marshmallows, a couple cans of green beans, and they didn't have French fried onions, which is what usually goes on top of green bean casserole, but you can usually substitute that, in a common alternate recipe calls for potato chips on top. So we'd bought a bag of just plain potato chips. So he comes out and he asks, "Well, what are the marshmallows for?" And I said, "Oh, those are for the potatoes." And he's like, "What?" I'm like, the orange potatoes, the sweet potatoes." He's like, "Well, then what are the potatoes for?" Referring to the potato chips. And I said, "Oh, well, those are for the green beans." And at this point, his mind is just completely blown, and he just shouts, "What do you eat in America?" And at this point, I'm laughing so hard, I've got tears streaming down my face. And I can't even breathe, I'm laughing so hard. And he's laughing, and the mom is laughing, and everyone's just laughing. And I'm like, it's all gonna make sense tomorrow, but this is definitely why everyone in America is overweight. And at this point, we were all laughing so hard. So the next day comes, and we've got the pseudo turkey in the oven. They've watched me, you can only fit literally like 1.5 people, even European-sized people, in this kitchen, because it was a very small beach condo, but it was beautiful and on the water and whatever. Sidetrack. So he comes in and he watches me make the green bean casserole, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's weird." And I try to explain to them that it's usually like French fried onions on top, but they have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'm like, "It's like potato chips, but onions." They're like, "Oh, like Funyuns?" I'm like, "No, but also not no." And so I just explained that like potato chips is a common way to make it if they don't have the topping I wanted. And then we get to the candied yams. And so, I prep the yams and I get them all in there, and I have the daughter come out, and they're like, so, I tell her, I'm like, "Okay, so we do a little bit of sugar, layer of marshmallows, and I'll do some more potatoes, and then you do more sugar, whatever, and then when we're done, we'll put all the marshmallows on top." And she has a field day. Oh, no. Excuse me. Oh my god, I can't wait to go see my allergist and get this fixed. You guys, I can't breathe. Whew. So naturally, letting a 4-year-old make the candied yams, they were way too sweet and nobody was going to eat them. They did try them, to be respectful, but as we're making this, we put them in the oven and we're getting all the table set up so everybody can come around and, do the Thanksgiving thing. And, as they're handing it out, they see me take some and put it on my plate, and they're like, "Oh, that's not a dessert?" And I said, "It can be, but no, traditionally it's just served as a side." And they're like, "What do you eat in America?" And then we just brought the joke back again, and we were all laughing. And they said, "Well, if this isn't dessert, do you not eat dessert on Thanksgiving?" I'm like, "Oh, no, there are desserts. There are desserts." And again, we were just, "Well, if this isn't dessert, what is?" And so then I had to explain to them that typically you do like different types of pie, most commonly pumpkin, with ice cream on top. So yeah, that's the story about how I weirded out my host family by confusing the hell out of them shopping for Thanksgiving dinner. Thank you so much, my lovelies. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave me a comment in this section down below, do all the wonderful engagement algorithm lovingly things. It really means the world to me. And be sure to come back tomorrow for our next Vlogmas video. And once again, thank you so much. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. And don't forget, we are almost finished with our Vlogmas 2019 Patreon special, where any of my lovelies who sign up or upgrade their Patreon membership between now and December 20th, in addition to your tier benefits, you will get a handwritten holiday or Christmas card of your choice from me, the Kidner Bean. Alrighty, my lovelies, that's all I've got for today. I'll see you all tomorrow.